And back here in Africa, Senegal's top election authority has voided the government's postponement of a presidential election scheduled for the 25th of February and is rescheduling for December, ruling that the move were unconstitutional. In this case, the judge ruled that the National Assembly decision to reschedule the vote to the 15th of December was contrary to the Constitution. The postponement has thrown the country into political turmoil, and it was not immediately clear if the election could go forward as initially scheduled or whether more time would be needed to allow for political campaigns. Now, for more on this, I am joined by Professor of International Relations and Strategic Studies, David Awurawo. Good to have you join us.
Thank you for having me.
So, Prof, it's been back and forth on this decision whether to hold election or not in Senegal. But how well does this latest judgment put Senegal back on track?
Very well, very well. The judgment has been praised across the world. The opposition, all those who love democracy and stability in Senegal, have praised the judgment. Senegal, in the aftermath of the announcement of the postponement of the election, of course, entered a period of crisis, turmoil, violence, social famine across the country. That nobody was sure of, what the direction was going to be. The judgment of the Constitutional Court has now given some direction. Likely the protests will, because the timing of the postponement will now be cut short. The court was clear because it says that all the decree that the president signed was illegal, unconstitutional, and the decision of Parliament to extend the election till December is also illegal, and ruled that the Electoral Commission should, as soon as possible, fix a new date and for election. So that has calmed nerves in Senegal and restored stability to the country. The only thing I expected the court to do that it didn't do is to, maybe mention 2 months, 3 months maximum for the date for the election. Because as soon as possible, politicians are, funny. They could, extend that for as long as. Since it's clear now that Macky Sall wants to hang on for as long as possible, hence the postponement. But the decision is lauded across the world, and it is highly commendable.
And we've also seen several jailed government opponents being released from prison, and this is seen as an attempt by the President Macky Sall to appease public opinion. But do you expect his major rival, Ousmane Sonko, to also be released?
I don't think so. What the president has tried to do is to perpetuate himself in office. Recall that he attempted to change the constitution the other time, a few months ago, to have another term. Somehow, the state of things across Africa and negative public opinion compel him to drop that. So this is like attempting to elongate his tenure through the back door. And another thing is those who have the capacity to win the election, if they stood against him, are those he doesn't want to succeed in. There are those in jail. So I do not expect that they will be released. But the fact that people have been released, people have been arrested in 2020, 2021, is an indictment on the government itself, that the government has been abusing people's rights, just by dissenting or by, belonging to the opposition, being arrested and being clamped in jail. And that is the negative side of Macky Sall. Yeah, he did well in economic and social development, but this aversion for opposition and not wanting to quit, those things will surely destroy his legacy. In fact, the ruling of the
Prof, you just took, apologies for butting in, but you just took that word out of my mouth, because I was going to ask you how all of the decisions he has taken in the second term will impact on the legacy that he will leave behind. And you started talking about it. I just wanted to you to expand on that a bit further.
Yes. Macky Sall's attempt to perpetuate himself in power, attempt to get a third term through the back door, and this postponement of the election is like an own goal. Because at the end of the day, in the next 2 months or thereabouts, election will be held and he will leave. And all the other things he did will never be remembered. What will be remembered for is this attempt to, sit tight and refuse to leave. And of course, the turmoil that, the thing created. 3 people have died and many, many, many others injured on account of this. These are the things people will remember and not any other thing he did. I'm not sure he's a good student of history. If he's a good student of history, he will have just known that the time was up. And if you also recall that Macky Sall was prime minister under W.I. Wad, he has been in government since 2004. This is 2024. He has been in government unbroken for 20 years. Why does he want to stay longer than that? And now he will only get a couple of months in addition to, when he ought to have left, and he will leave. So his legacy is in jeopardy on account of this decision to want to perpetuate himself in office.
And the funny thing is the circumstances that he has now created, the same circumstances that brought him, to power as well. But we'll see how things play out in Senegal. Thank you so much for talking to us, Professor of International Relations, Professor of International Relations and Strategic Studies, David Aworao.
Thank you for having me.
Right, that's the word now. Remember, if you